I woke up to a message from my husband. Contractions have started. Maya's about to give birth. There was news about my sister-in-law, Mia, who was on the verge of having her baby. Though I don't usually interact much with Mia, the thought of my niece arriving filled me with excitement. I dialed my husband, eager to share in the joy, but he sounded rushed and distracted. "Don't come to the hospital," he said quickly. "What? I'm going to the hospital," I replied. "Why would you say that?" "Just don't come, okay," he said, cutting off the call abruptly. I was left with a whirlwind of questions. Why was he so insistent I stay away? What was going on? Little did I know, an unexpected revelation awaited me in just a few hours. My name is Sophia, and I work for a sizable stationery company. I've been married to William for 2 years. While our relationship isn't as passionate as it once was, we get along well enough. I just celebrated my 30th birthday, and with William being 35, I've been contemplating the idea of starting a family. One day, while William was out at a barbecue with a colleague, I was home alone when the doorbell rang. I opened it to find my mother-in-law, Lily, standing on the doorstep. "Lily." "Sophia, sorry for dropping by unannounced. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd pop in." "No problem at all. Come on in." "Thank you, I'd love to." William and I live about an hour away from his parents' house, taking the highway. It's not too far, but we don't see Lily very often. Despite the distance, we have the opportunity to visit each other when time allows. Lily would occasionally stop by, like today, while she was out shopping. We might also make trips to see her if our schedules permit. I made coffee and set out some snacks that Lily had brought. After taking a sip, Lily looked pleased and said, "Thank you." "Guess what?" she continued. "Maya told me she's pregnant." "Really? Maya is?" "Yes, it's quite a surprise. Mia, who is William's sister and my sister-in-law, got married a year before us and now lives out of state. She's always so warm and welcoming at family gatherings. Even though she's my sister-in-law, I find her to be a lovely sister. Lately, as I've been thinking more about starting a family, Maya's pregnancy feels particularly relatable. I'm not feeling any jealousy, just genuine happiness for her. Maya and her husband have been married for 3 years now, and it seems like the perfect time for them to have a child, don't you think? Lily nodded in agreement. Absolutely. They had their time as a couple, and now it's the right moment for a child. I remember going through that phase myself. I've been contemplating having kids too, considering I'm already 30. Don't stress about it, I reassured her. Having children in your 30s is quite common these days. Just move at your own pace. Thank you. We've never had the kind of mother and daughter-in-law drama you often see on TV. Lily always greets me with a smile and never pressures me about having kids. Thanks to her, I've been able to take my time thinking about starting a family. That evening, when William came home from the barbecue, I shared my conversation with Lily. "Hey, William, guess who came by today?" "Lily, and guess what? Maya's pregnant." "Really? Maya is?" "Yeah, can you believe it? We're going to be an aunt and uncle. I wonder if it's going to be a boy or a girl." "Exciting, isn't it?" "It is. It's thrilling to think about." William's face lit up with a smile, clearly thrilled by the news. Although I felt a twinge of unease, I assumed he was just genuinely happy about his sister's pregnancy. At that moment, I hoped this happiness would translate into a serious consideration about starting a family of our own. Feeling encouraged, I voiced my thoughts. "I want a baby too." "What? Oops, sorry, that just slipped out. I'm already 30, and with our ages, it seems like the right time." "Oh, right, I hadn't really thought about it." "It's okay, I'm sorry for bringing it up so suddenly." I apologized, and William didn't say much more. I had hoped for a response like, "I want one too," or "I want you to have my child," but those words never came. Perhaps it's understandable that William isn't ready for that step yet. Over the past 6 months, he's been coming home late, working overtime almost every day. I often come home after midnight, and he even works weekends sometimes. With his hectic schedule, it's likely he hasn't had much time to think about starting a family. I took it in stride and decided not to bring up the topic again. 3 months later, William was at work on his day off when Lily called to say she'd be bringing lunch over. "Lily, you didn't have to go to all that trouble." "It's no trouble at all. I was already out shopping nearby and was planning to have a simple lunch by myself, so this is a nice surprise." "I'm glad to hear that." As we enjoyed the lunch Lily had brought, we chatted about various topics. When the conversation shifted to Maya's pregnancy, I decided to ask Lily something that had been on my mind. By the way, do you know the gender of Maya's baby yet? Yes, she told me just 3 days ago. It was the first I'd heard. Oh, so you do know? Yes, it's a girl. A girl? How wonderful. Girls' clothes are so cute, though they can be pricey. But really, what matters most is that the baby is healthy. Absolutely. I'm hoping for a healthy birth for Maya's baby. Let's all look forward to it. According to Lily, Maya plans to give birth at a hospital near Lily's house. After the birth, Maya will be staying at the in-laws' place for a while, so we'll have the opportunity to visit. I'll drop by once things have settled down, Lily said with a smile before leaving. 2 weeks later, I found myself working late and didn't get home until after 11 o'clock p.m. As I was getting out of the bath, William arrived home. Hey William, you're home late again. Huh? You're just getting out of the bath? Yeah, I had to work late too. That's unusual. Well, since you're here, I wanted to ask you something. What's up? William showed me his phone screen and asked, which one do you think is best? The screen displayed various types of baby cribs. There were so many options, and William's face lit up with excitement as he pointed them out. At that moment, I felt a strange sense of discomfort. If William is looking at baby cribs now, it must be for Mia. While it's not out of the question for him to buy a gift for her, I couldn't help but feel uneasy. William is usually quite frugal, even with me. He keeps my birthday gifts under $100, so it didn't make sense that he was considering a crib for over $500. As William eagerly browsed through the cribs, I cautiously spoke up. Is this crib a gift for Mia? Yeah, it is. She's my sister, after all. I want to do something nice for her. Wouldn't it be better to ask Maya directly? People have their own preferences for sizes and specific features. You're right, I'll check with her. Yeah, that sounds like the best approach. William seemed a bit rushed, and something about his demeanor felt off. From that day forward, my unease about his behavior grew. Whenever he had spare time, he was on the phone researching baby items, not just typical baby clothes, but expensive items like baby baths, strollers, and car seats. Normally, these decisions are made by the parents-to-be, so I couldn't understand why William was so focused on researching them. It left me feeling puzzled. One day, William came home with a shopping bag from a well-known baby clothing store. "Tada!" he exclaimed, excitedly pulling out the newly purchased clothes. "Sophia, check this out. Isn't it adorable?" "It is really cute, but it's for a boy, right?" "Huh? What do you mean?" William had bought a onesie with dinosaur illustrations, clearly intended for a boy. While kids can wear whatever they like, giving a gift meant for the opposite gender could come off as thoughtless. When I pointed this out, William quickly tried to cover his tracks. Okay, I know Maya is having a girl. Why did you say it like you didn't know? No, I did know. I just thought this was cute. William quickly shoved the baby clothes back into the bag and left the living room. Isn't this a gift for Mia? Then why didn't he just give it to her? He only took it out to show me, I wondered, puzzled by William's behavior. Despite my questions, I decided not to press further. 2 months later, while William was working on his day off and I was busy cleaning the house, a message from him popped up on my phone. It was news that Maya had gone into labor. She's in labor. The baby is finally on the way. I was so flustered and excited that I didn't know what to do with myself. I immediately called William. Hello. William, is Maya really in labor? Which hospital is she at? Yes, it seems she is. The hospital is a university hospital in the neighboring state. What? Isn't that quite far from your parents' house? Well, I won't be able to come back for a while, William said. Why's that? It's pretty obvious. Labor can take hours, and even after the baby is born. I understand, but will you be there for the entire process? Yeah, it looks like the baby might arrive soon. Alrighty, in that case, I'll head over right away. Lily often mentioned that Maya would be happy to see me, so I planned to visit if the timing was right. However, William seemed unusually rushed. Don't come to the hospital. What? Why not? I should be there. Just stay home. There's nothing you can do here. Anyway, even if I can't help, I want to congratulate Mia. I'll be at the hospital, so you should just stay home. Don't come, okay? William said and hung up abruptly. My mind was racing with questions. What's going on? Why the sudden refusal? I waited for a few hours with no update on the baby's arrival. Curious, I decided to call Lily. Lily? Lily's voice was calm as ever. Hi, Lily. How's Maya doing right now? Oh, Mia. She just went for a walk. A walk? During labor? Lily chuckled at my reaction. Then she told me something unexpected. No, Sophia, labor is still a ways off. What? The due date is next month. Maya was just over last week. Is that so? Don't worry. I'll let you know as soon as labor actually starts. William, too, of course. At that moment, a troubling thought struck me. The late nights William claimed were due to overtime, the pricey baby cribs he'd been eyeing, and most troubling of all, his insistence that Maya was in labor when she wasn't. Everything that had unsettled me suddenly fell into place, and a surge of anger began to rise within me. So that's what's been happening. I never thought William would do something like this. Well, now I'm determined to make his life a living hell. Taking a deep breath, I heard Lily call my name from the other end of the phone. Sophia. I decided to tell Lily the truth. Lily, I think William might be cheating on me. What? What do you mean? I can't be certain, but he sent me a message saying he's with Mia at the hospital because she's in labor. What? That doesn't make sense. He also bought a onesie for a boy and showed it to me, even though Maya's baby is supposed to be a girl. So you're saying he might have a son with the woman he's cheating with? Probably yes. A heavy silence settled between us. Lily was the first to break it. Hold on, Sophia. I'm coming over. Now? But. Just wait. Bye. The call ended, and an hour later, Lily and Maya arrived at my house. Maya, too. We heard William was causing a lot of trouble, so we decided to come over. I'm sorry, you're pregnant, and this must be hard on you. Not at all. I can't give birth in peace until we deal with that idiot William. Maya grinned triumphantly, and Lily stood confidently beside her. Their presence strengthened my resolve. A few hours later, William came home, his expression a mix of shock and confusion when he saw the three of us. What? Why are you here? He looked pale, as if he might faint. Maya spoke first. Why are you asking that? I'm not in labor. Wait, no. Who did you mistake me for? There's no way you could have confused me. Right, oh, well. Maya quickly grabbed William's phone and started scrolling through the photos. They were all of a woman who had just given birth, holding a newborn. Lily turned to William, her voice low and stern. William, what is this? Mom, there's no excuse for this. Exactly. If you try to brush this off as a misunderstanding, I'll call this woman right now. Please don't. I haven't told her I'm married. How much trouble do you have to cause before you're satisfied? William's face turned ashen, and he trembled. I handed him the prepared divorce papers. Send these now. I'll get in touch later about the alimony. Wait, Sophia, I don't want to get a divorce. Don't joke with me. You have a child with another woman, and you think we can stay together? What you've done is unforgivable. Sign the divorce papers and apologize, you scum. My anger was so intense that I forgot Lily and Maya were present. In the end, William signed the divorce papers, tears streaming down his face. With the support of Lily and Mia, I consulted a lawyer about the situation, including Harper, the woman he cheated with. We had a thorough discussion and decided to seek compensation from both William and Harper. Since Harper was unaware of William's marriage, she had half of her compensation covered by him. Additionally, Harper demanded child support from William. He had even proposed remarriage, but she flatly rejected him, saying, "Just pay the money, you scum. It's all his fault. Serves you right." I still maintain a close relationship with Lily and the others. Maya has safely given birth, and I recently gave her a baby gift. During that visit, Maya said, "Even though you've cut ties with that idiot William, you're still Sophia, and this child is still your niece." Her kindness meant the world to me. If Lily and Maya hadn't shown up that day, things might not have resolved so smoothly. With deep gratitude, I'm committed to slowly repaying their kindness.
All right, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my 2nd year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job. having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself, had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I obediently followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was. As the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. What kind of training are you giving your subordinates? Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed. I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong. Mike, what have you done? Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. I didn't do anything wrong. You're still saying that? Look at him. Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract? Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go. Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him. There's no way he was pushed aside. Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he? I don't remember that part. I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you've failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.